Hi gamers, and welcome to another review by Infinite Game Insight. Today I will be discussing a new kind of fight, Street Fighter 1. In the late 1980s, a revolution was brewing in the world of arcade games. Street Fighter was new and exciting in 1987. It brought a fresh wave of excitement to arcades everywhere. Arcades were full of games like Pac-Man and Donkey Kong. These games were iconic, but they were primarily single-player experiences. These games were fun, but different. Street Fighter was different. It introduced a competitive edge that was missing from other games. It was a fighting game. Players could face off against each other in intense battles. Street Fighter was created by Capcom. This company would go on to become a giant in the gaming industry. Street Fighter lets players fight each other. This head-to-head competition was a game changer. This was new and exciting. The thrill of competing against a friend or rival was unmatched. Players could choose different fighters. Each character had unique moves and abilities, adding depth to the gameplay. They could punch, kick, and use special moves. Mastering these moves became a badge of honor among players. Street Fighter was a big hit. Arcades were packed with players eager to prove their skills. People loved the fighting action. The intensity and strategy required kept them coming back for more. They loved the different characters. Each player had their favorite, and debates over the best fighter were common. They loved trying out the special moves. These moves added a layer of complexity and excitement to the game. Street Fighter started a whole new type of game. It paved the way for future fighting games and left a lasting legacy in the gaming world. Punch, kick, and special moves, how to play. Street Fighter is a classic arcade game that has captivated players for decades. Understanding the controls is key to mastering the game. Street Fighter used buttons and a joystick. The joystick was essential for maneuvering your character around the screen. This let players control their fighter. By moving the joystick, players could navigate their character to dodge attacks or position themselves for a counterattack. The joystick moved the fighter left and right. It also allowed for more complex movements like jumping and crouching. Players could also jump and crouch. These movements were crucial for avoiding enemy attacks and setting up your own strikes. The buttons controlled the punches and kicks. Mastering these basic attacks was the first step to becoming a skilled player. There were 2 punch buttons and 2 kick buttons. Each button executed a different type of punch or kick, adding variety to your attacks. Players could do different attacks by pressing different buttons. Combining these attacks in various ways allowed for unique combos. Street Fighter also had special moves. These were powerful attacks. Special moves could turn the tide of a battle if used correctly. Players did them by quickly moving the joystick and pressing a button. Timing and precision were key to executing these moves successfully. Each fighter had their own special moves and combos. Learning each character's unique abilities added depth and strategy to the game. Ryu and Ken, the first fighters. Street Fighter had 2 main characters, Ryu and Ken. They were martial artists. Ryu was serious and focused on training. Ken was more flashy and liked to show off. Players could only play as Ryu and Ken. Other characters were the opponents. These opponents were from different countries. They all had unique fighting styles. Ryu and Ken became popular video game characters. They were in many Street Fighter games. They became symbols of the fighting game genre. From arcades to history, Street Fighter's beginning. Capcom released Street Fighter in arcades. It was not an instant success. The controls were new, and some players found them hard to learn. But Street Fighter soon caught on. People liked the challenge. They liked the competitive gameplay. They liked the different characters and special moves. Street Fighter became a hit. It made a lot of money for Capcom. It showed there was a market for fighting games. This led to the creation of many other fighting games. A legacy of fighting games, Street Fighter's impact. Street Fighter was very important. Released in 1987, it was one of the first games to introduce complex fighting mechanics and special moves, which were revolutionary at the time. It created the fighting game genre. Before Street Fighter, there were no games that focused so heavily on one-on-one combat with such depth and strategy. It set the standard for future fighting games. The introduction of special moves, like the Hadouken and Shoryuken, became iconic and were emulated by many other games. Many of its features are still used today. The concept of combos, special moves, and character selection screens have become staples in the genre. Street Fighter II came out in 1991. This sequel took everything great about the first game and improved upon it, adding new characters, moves, and more refined gameplay. It was even more popular than the first game. Arcades were filled with players eager to master their favorite characters and compete against friends. Street Fighter II made the genre explode. Its success led to a boom in fighting games, with many developers trying to capture the same magic. Many other fighting games were made. Titles like Mortal Kombat, Tekken, and King of Fighters owe their existence to the trail blazed by Street Fighter. Today, fighting games are very popular. They have evolved with technology, offering online play and high-definition graphics. They are played in tournaments. Competitive gaming, or esports, has embraced fighting games, with events drawing large crowds and offering substantial prizes. They are even shown on ESPN. Major networks now broadcast fighting game tournaments, bringing the excitement to a wider audience. Street Fighter started it all. Its influence is undeniable, and it remains a beloved franchise. It is still popular today. New installments continue to be released, and the fan base remains strong. It is a classic game that people still enjoy. Whether in arcades, on consoles, or at home, Street Fighter's legacy lives on. And that's it. Thank you, gamers, for tuning in, and please hit that subscribe button and share. Like and comment. Don't forget to click the notifications bell for more reviews you don't want to miss. Until next time, keep gaming.